Okay, so we're all good and you guys can see the screen. Again, I want you to ask your questions. There's a chat box in Zoom. Everybody probably knows how Zoom works right now. And let's get started. Okay, I gotta get rid of this little thing here. Perfect. So what I want to talk about today as well, we're going to go through tips and tricks on email, but there's many misunderstandings of how email works. So I am going to use a free Gmail account to show you certain things. But what I found when I first started working with agents almost 2 decades ago is that they would be using these free emails like an at Gmail, Shaw, TELUS, MSN, Comcast, any of these kind of email addresses, and it's hurting your business because and if you want to know more about email, and Ray, if you could put my website in the chat, if you go to agenttechmastery.com, that there's a webinar there that it will explain how email works. Okay, I don't want to get into all of that today. High level, I'll talk about it, but that webinar will show you why using free email. I'm going to cover it very high level today, but I'll go into more detail in the other webinar. So just a little bit about me. I do own the world's only technology training for real estate agents. I've worked with thousands of top producing agents. Let me just, hold on, I gotta just get my notes here. Open speaker notes, there we go, and bring it over here. And then I gotta do one more thing and put this on full screen. There we go. I just move that over there. And Ray, just pipe in if anyone has questions. Happy to be interrupted, okay? I will monitor it as well. But basically, I've worked with thousands and thousands of top agents since I've been working with agents and leveraging their business systems to save time and money. And everything stems from an email address. I am not kidding you. Hopefully you'll understand that when I show you in a second. I also was on TV with Tech Tips for 3 seasons. I've been working in IT and how email servers work with wireless devices and not wireless devices back in the day. And you guys old enough for Palm Pilots? That's where I initially started how email works with Palm Pilots and Outlook and email servers. Then BlackBerry came along, and then Apple came along, and then Androids came along, and how everything syncs and integrates. It's incredible how things do sync and integrate. And how I work with agents is because this is my husband, Terry, if you don't know him. He's been around almost as long as I have been helping agents. And he does a lot of courses. So if you might think you know him, he does a lot of the courses at BCRA, Know Your Product, House Systems, House Structures, and leveraging the data input system. And you should take that. His courses are incredible. But what happened when he became an agent, it all started with email. And so he became an agent and he was using his Yahoo email, and all these things weren't syncing and integrated. And I finally said, this is silly. Let's fix this because you're wasting so much time with incorrect systems and piecemealing your business together. And so I looked at how his Yahoo was set up on computer. Wireless devices are important as well because you configure your email there and on your computer, and then can it sync with a CRM? Does that make sense? So you guys ask questions. I'm just going to kind of whip through here and make sure I have no questions. Nope, you're good. So let's start off with this survey, okay? So the survey is slido.com. You can do a picture of the barcode or the QR code, not a barcode, QR code, and it'll take you here, or you can go to slido.com. It'll ask you for the number, and you can put that number in there. So if you guys can do this, so we just see, while I'm talking about email, I know what are most people Outlook, or most people Gmail, what are you using as an email service provider? And then I'll talk a little bit now while you guys are doing that, but it's really important to understand that. Are you using a brokerage email? And I'm going to talk about that as well. Are you using Gmail or AOL or Shaw or wireless internet provider, right? Like Comcast for our Americans, trying to think of all the ones in the US. We've got Shaw and TELUS here and some other ones. So if we just take a look at this, so 50, oh, people are keep going. Yeah, for sure. I like to see the stats because it's always really interesting to me. So seriously, nobody here is using Hotmail, MSN, AOL, Apple's iCloud, or an internet service provider. I'm shocked. Okay, I'm totally shocked because that usually we get at least a few people that are using these. So basically, you've got the own domain. Whoops, let me go back here. Your own domain. Oh, it's not going to refresh that. Anyhow. So basically what we saw is that you guys have the Gmail accounts, the brokerage email accounts, and then some other ones. Okay. And we're going to talk about why that matters. Okay. So first off, for everybody, whether it's Gmail or AOL or Yahoo or whatever you're using, how does this look? Joe Blow 1973 at gmail.com. Number one, you should never, ever, ever, can I say ever? Use your birth year in your email address. There's so many reasons that's a problem. Number one, fraud. Now people know your name and the year of birth. And then also, what about for real estate agents? It might be age discrimination. It could be, oh my gosh, I think that person's too young, or maybe I think they're too old, right? That is so bad. And then we've got people that do this, like Joe Blow Realtor at yahoo.com or .ca, whatever your email address is. Horrible. Or something like with a wireless internet perverter, Jenny Smith 123 at shaw.ca, comcast.com, whatever it might be. This is really, really, really bad. And there's many reasons for it, but there's a couple I'm going to go over, and then we're going to get to how do you actually do tips and tricks inside email. So what I find agents don't think about when they set up their business is how they look and are perceived by the public. So if you were going to have to hire a lawyer, right, and you went and interviewed these two lovely folks and you just didn't know who to use, you liked them both, they both worked at law firms, and then Joe hands you his card and it says Joe the best lawyer 1973 at yahoo.com. And Jenny handed you her card and said Jenny at smithlaw.com. Which one would you use? In all honesty, you guys, which one would you use? Can you put it in the chat? Right? Which lawyer would you have used? Because we can tell that agents don't think about it when you were doing this. Okay. And there's many ways to fix this and one correct way to fix it. So we want you to understand that most people perceive you in a certain way if you're using if you don't have a domain or your domain name's weird or you're using these free email accounts. And then on the flip side of that, it does appear, we're going to talk about lawyers right now, but why are we not thinking about agents the same way? It looks so unprofessional, that other lawyer, right? It's inconsistent with branding. Why is he not branding the law firm he works for? He appears less confident and trustworthy, right? That's so critical. He doesn't look legitimate. And there's going to be, with free email addresses, there's many problems with free email addresses because you're running a business. You should have a paid business email, which I'll talk about later. You may have email deliverability issues because it's free. You probably can't get help either. And 90% of the free email addresses will never sync and integrate properly with all the devices you have and the CRM. Okay, let me just go back and see what everyone was writing down here. Jenny, female lawyers always work harder. Yes, maybe. Okay. And so 75% of consumers say that an email address matching your domain is critical to trust and professionalism. But there's many ways to screw that up as well. Okay. Picking a domain and then picking a business email. So please don't just go and do it. Okay. So let's talk about other things that free email addresses are a bit of an issue. Free email addresses are meant for personal use, like my mom, not you guys. Okay. Free email addresses get mistaken for spam. You can't get help and support. You have small mailboxes, right? Because they're free. Why do you think they're giving you things for free? No business gives stuff for free. There's reasons, right? This is the reason. You're going to get advertising and they do collect your data. And that's why if you're using these free emails, you're inundated with ads and spam. You cannot send large files due to storage and space limitations as well. Okay. So what happens with free email addresses? It's so confusing. Okay, let me just see. If you use my brokerage email, do my contacts belong to my brokerage? Yes, we'll talk about that. This is a huge thing. I also say do not use a brokerage email, but there's lots of reasons for that. as well. And if I don't cover them all, just ask me a little bit later. Okay, so free email addresses is this what we see happen. Sometimes the brokerage gives you, like Remax offers you an email address. It's not a real email address, it's a forwarder. Plus, you shouldn't be giving away that email address for a variety of reasons. If you ever leave, who your clients have your brokerage email. They should have your business email address. Your emails end up in spam. Role-based emails and free email addresses, they're just horrible. So a role-based email is something like info@yourdomain.com, horrible to use for a business. It's okay for some other things, but I see a lot of agents do this, and this is not good. Again, if you use a brokerage email or a CRM, we teach agents not to. Now, we have to look at how your current system setup is, how many email addresses you have before we can recommend anything. But seriously, brokerage email, brokerage CRM, do not use. Okay. I have seen so many horror stories when agents don't understand the impact of that if they ever leave that brokerage. And even you may say, I'm never leaving this brokerage, but I can tell you, my husband was with a big brokerage for at least a decade, and I thought he would never leave. And maybe 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, he went to a smaller boutique brokerage. Did it matter? Not really, except new signs, because everything he owned. Okay. He owned all his data. Okay. If you're using an email that's tied to your internet service provider like Shaw or Comcast, horrible. Okay. Horrible. And if you have to keep deleting messages, and you shouldn't be deleting messages because you need to keep your email messages for how long, you guys? Many years. So if you're deleting them and you ever have to go to a lawsuit, you're going to be in huge trouble. Okay. If you update your CRM contacts, actually, how many people, I don't have a slide for this, but how many people are using a CRM? Maybe you can put it in the chat, because if you're set up properly and you add a contact to your CRM, it should end up everywhere: your phone, your tablet, your computer, and vice versa. Again, it's all about email. Email is incredibly powerful. Yes. Let me just see here. Okay, perfect. All right. And then the other thing is with free email, if you read an email on one device and then you go to another and it shows unread, that's an email problem. It's because you've got crappy email and not a proper business email setup. If you move an email to a folder and it doesn't move elsewhere, or you can't find it, again, it's bad email addresses, because those email addresses that are free are what we call POP and IMAP, and that's bad. When you should be running a business on a business email server where things can sync and integrate. You own your own data, everything is yours. Okay. If you have to piecemeal your software to try and get everything to work, yet it doesn't, probably a problem with too many email addresses or free email addresses. And then our Apple friends, when you get an Apple device, Apple takes over. So when you're saving things on your phone or your iPad, your iPhone and iPad, it saves it with Apple, not with where you actually want it to save. And again, it's all just the configuration is wrong and the email address is incorrect. It's an easy-ish fix, but it doesn't have to be that way. Okay, is there any questions out here? KV Core. Oh, KV Core, which they changed their name now. Someone just mentioned KV Core is a brokerage-owned CRM, and they changed it now to something called Bold Trail. It makes no sense to me, Bold Trail. Anyhow, you should not be using that, because that belongs to the brokerage. That is there. Yes, could you export some contacts? Yes, but all the work you do inside that CRM, when you leave, gone. Bad. Yeah, Bold Trail, right? Why they did that makes no sense. All this causes waste time, financial loss, high stress. We don't want you to have that. Okay. So what if your email just simply integrated with everything that you use and touch? Because it's possible, right? And then I just threw in these slides because I wanted to remember, someone asked that, and I already said that, but please don't use the brokerage email. And please, if you're a team, I have seen this so many times when I've helped out someone on a team, is that if you don't own the domain name, then that email address is not yours. So what we're looking at, agents, we always want all your data to be yours. So no matter you leave that team, you leave that brokerage, your stuff is still your stuff. And your CRM is your CRM, and all your contacts are syncing and integrated with your email, not theirs. Make sense? Questions? Let me just see. Is domain name email provided by G Suite okay? It depends on your setup. So I'm going to give you guys an option to book a chat with me at the end, because I can't give advice unless I know a bunch of things about how you're currently set up. Does that make sense? So you'll see when you book a chat with me, is that you'll book a time, and then I'm going to get you to fill out a short form, and I'm going to ask you, what's your domain? How many domains do you own? How many email addresses do you have? What's your main email address? And we'll figure out from there what cloud storage. We need to know a bunch of things, okay? What if you're a broker? I'm not sure what you mean, Lisa, if you can expand, or we'll talk about that later. And then last thing before I get into the live demo is this is another thing that confuses people, okay? So you probably never heard this term, I'm guessing, but an email client. An email client is Outlook, Macmail, Gmail, those are apps, but Gmail, Outlook, Spark, these are all a place to view email. Okay, Microsoft owns Outlook, Macmail is Apple, Gmail is Google, Outlook app is Microsoft, but it's just a place to view your email. Okay, so when we see people using, the biggest one that I have a problem with when I'm working with agents is that if you use Outlook desktop software, and usually these people come from a corporate background and now they're agents, so they're used to using it, but there's a whole bunch of problems with it. And trust me, I do know this because I was around supporting Outlook back in the day. And there's many issues with using Outlook desktop software, many that I can't even get into here. But that also would be something I would be asking when we chat, because Outlook could save things all by itself on that one computer that then you go somewhere else and you can't find it. Well, it's because it's not configured properly, or there's issues with Outlook, if that makes sense. Let me just see if there's any other questions. There's not. Okay, so you know what I'm going to do is I am going to get out of here, and I've got just a sec, you guys. I'm going to pull up my test demo account. Are you ready? Here's my test demo account, and I'm going to walk you through now. Everybody here, I know not everybody uses Gmail. I can't show you how to do it on every single different types of email platforms, but I'm going to show you on Gmail, and then more than likely yours can do this too. Not all of it, but more than likely. Most email providers are similar in their platform. Okay, they're not similar in other things, but they're similar in their platform. Okay, so first off, Ray, did you put in I don't know where. Ray, can you send me directly all the things I promised to talk about? Because I didn't pull that up, unfortunately. Thank you. So I know number one is that we want to talk about how to clean up your inbox fast. Okay. So you ready? Is that what everybody wants to know, how to clean up your inbox fast? So I'm going to show you. Now, this again is a demo account. So what I do with this demo account is I just sign up for a bunch of stuff so that you will have stuff, or I can have stuff that I can show you. Okay. So here's the thing. Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's not. Okay. Sorry. I'm just looking at what Ray is talking about. Okay. So inside an inbox, what we find usually happens is you only see 2,000 emails here. But what I normally see is like 60,000, 100,000, 500,000 emails, depending how long you've had this email address. And even if you know that like 5 years ago, you're not going to look at that email, it still mentally does something to you every day when you go in here. So my actual inbox every day, I don't believe in inbox 0 because I don't think that's possible, but inbox 5, 10 is totally possible. And so I know anything that's in my actual inbox is stuff that I have to work on. Everything else is either deleted, archived, moved to a folder or label. Does that make sense? Okay, let me just see here. I might ask you to do that again, Ray. I got to find it quickly. Okay, so a way to find stuff really fast, and again, Outlook isn't very good on the search either. A browser-based logon is much better because you're going directly to that email. If you're using Outlook or Macmail, that is third-party tools that you're using, that email client software, to access it. So if something goes wrong, It could, right? If you're going direct, there's less likely of ever having very many problems. Okay. All right. So in here, let's say that I want to put everything from Athleta Canada into a folder, or let's say I want to delete them all, because there's a difference between archiving and deleting. And again, if you're using another, how many people are using something else today? If you could just say what you use, Outlook or what it is, and then I can kind of tailor this a little bit better. Yeah, Outlook. So do you Outlook users, do you log on to with a web browser using Outlook desktop software? Just curious. Perfect. Okay, I'll come back in a sec. Okay, so let's say I want to delete everything from Athleta. Okay, a way to do it is I could just type the word in the search, Athleta, right? And here is all the Athleta stuff. And so there's more than 100 because we see 1 to 100. And so what I can then do is select all, and see it's only selecting the 100, but I can say select all messages that match this. I could tap on here, and then I have an option. What am I going to do with this? So I can trash them. And the difference between trash and archive, which confuses people, is trash means that it will be gone within 30 days. Gone. You cannot find it again. It deletes it off the server. Okay, so if I put these in trash today, I'd have 30 days to go, uh-oh, I want to look at, bring that back or whatever. Okay, if I archive it, it just means take it out of my inbox, but still make it searchable. Okay, so it's not trashed. It's still in what we call all mail and Gmail. Does that make sense? So in here, let's just say I want to trash all Athleta. So I would just tap on here and say delete. It's going to say, do you really want to do that? Double checking, right? Yes. And then within a minute or so, all of the Athleta emails will be in trash. Okay. So then this should be, I didn't look at this number, but this number should be less now. Okay. Because now they are gone to trash. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. Now, if I wanted to, let's see, who else have we got here? Pampered Chef. So let me do a search for Pampered Chef. And let's say I want to keep that. Pampered Chef. Okay. So let's say I want to keep these, but I don't want them in my inbox. Another way to do that is I can go select all messages that match this search, not just the one on this page. And then I want to mark this, move this as, oh my goodness, hold on. Where is this going? Label. I'm going to label. Google's changed something. I'm going to label this and say I want to create a new label. I'm going to create a new label and I'm going to call it Pampered. Okay. And if I wanted to nest it like sub label, subfolder, I could. I'm not going to. And then I'm going to say create. And it's going to say, do you really want to do this? Yes. So now watch what happens. Inbox label is still there because I have not archived them. This is a big distinction that people don't understand. Okay. So I've got them Pampered label and the inbox label. So now what I want to do to get these out of my inbox is I select them, select all, and I say archive. And then it's going to take all of those emails and it's going to see it's now down to 728. So it's down here under Pampered Chef and it's out of my inbox. So still searchable, but I've labeled it if that's what you want to do. Any questions on that? This is the fastest way to get rid of stuff because you probably have all newsletters you don't care about, like I just did, Athlete or Pampered Chef or whatever you've registered for, and you can just delete all those newsletters. Does that make sense? Right? Any questions? Are we good? Let me just see. I think we're good. Okay, perfect. So the side part now, Outlook, everybody has labels or folders. They call them different things. In Gmail, they're really labels, but it just mentally, so you understand it, they're folders. Okay, so these over here on the side are folders I've created. Again, remember this is a test account, but for real estate agents, what I would do is I might have a folder called real estate, buyers, and then all buyer emails go into here, sellers under their address or their name, however you like to structure your stuff. And then you would put everything in the appropriate folder. Okay. So let's say this email is for the buyer, Fred Flintstone. So I've answered it. I tap on here. I can move it. Then that's like archiving and putting it into the right folder. And I can move it to Fred Flintstone. Okay, and there's Fred. Now it's gone out of my inbox and now it's in the folder on the left-hand side. Okay, this is how I keep track of my inbox. I maybe have 10 emails and it's anything that I still have to answer or I have to do something with, it still sits in my inbox. Okay, does that make sense? And then another amazing thing that most of the email clients provide is a feature called snoozing or bringing that email back. So let's say I open up this email and I'm like, you know what? I want to do that maybe next weekend. Let's just say I can snooze it. So I tap on the three dots. I can say snooze and it gives me the top options and say, let's say I do want it to snooze this weekend at 8 a.m. That email goes from my inbox and then pops back in on Saturday. Best thing ever, right? Let me just see. I have all my folders. I have all my folders for transactions by address. Is there a max number of folders? I don't think there is a max number of folders, but there's a couple things that I always like to tell people is that I do structure folders, but I also know that I don't go back and look at it this way. So folders you can use, but it's not necessary really because the search function is so incredible. So this is a bad example, but let's say I have a property called 1234 Main Street. If I search for it, I'm going to find every sent and replied email when I do that if I put the property in there, because the property is somewhere in the email or the attachment, right? So I would then just be able to find what I'm looking for this way. I don't necessarily think you have to create a folder structure, but some people like folder structures, right? But I've gone now the opposite way where in my own, oh gosh, I must have done it a couple months ago. I just removed a bunch of folders because I never go into the folder. There's a couple folders I go into, maybe 10 folders, and I've kept those. And then all the rest, I just got rid of them. And that doesn't mean I got rid of the emails. I can still search for the emails, but I got rid of the folder / label. Okay, so you created 2 folders, buyers, then Fred. Let me just go back here. What I did is, yes, there's a real estate folder. Again, they're not true folders in Gmail, they're labels. So a email can have multiple labels. So this is a folder, this is a folder, and this is a folder. So normally then anything under buyers is all the buying clients, buyer clients. And then anything under sellers is all the addresses. Okay. And we try and teach people that if you're going to use this folder structure, that you should have the same folder structure. So your brain doesn't have to think you're doing something different with actual files and folders on your computer that sync with everything that you touch. Make sense? Yeah. Okay. So the snooze function, let me just make sure I've got everybody. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. The snooze function is incredible. Now, the other thing that I'm going to show you that I see this problem all the time. And again, you can go into it in more detail on my webinar about how businesses should be set up on my website, agenttechmastery.com. It's the only webinar there, so you can sign up and watch it. It's about 40 minutes or so. So email signatures. So if I go here to compose, I have this automatic signature that I put here. Obviously, it's a dummy signature, but you can play around with colors and some fonts and some font, italicizing and making it bold and things like that. I do not recommend using a signature that you put your lovely image or logos or banners. And actually, if you go to my website, agenttechmastery.com, and you go up to the blog here, there's a blog about signatures. Let me just find it here. Where is it? What did I do? Nope, that's domain. No, here, signatures. Okay, it's the first one. I totally missed it. Okay, So if you look at this, I show you what happens when people put images in their signature. It always looks good to you as the sender, but you don't know how I receive it. And these are real examples of us going back and forth with somebody that had a Facebook logo, a brokerage logo, their own image, and LinkedIn, and I think all these different icons. And every time we emailed, each one of these little files is not something that I want to look at. It's this stupid Facebook logo or their image or something else. So when I'm trying to actually find the actual file, don't make me work for it. I got to figure out which one is the actual file I'm supposed to look at. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay, let me just see. I think I've answered everybody. You guys are good. Let me just go back. See, Ray, the problem is that I can't find. Can you send me an email with that thing? Because I have to scroll through everybody's comments. Okay. Okay, so we did the signature. Does that make sense? I just please ask now about signatures because this is incredibly important and we see this happen all the time. Okay. The best signature that you can use is something that's very simple, right? That you can have clickable links, but it can say Facebook instead of the actual icon for Facebook. Okay. Automate your inbox. Yes. Okay. So another thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about, in Outlook, they call them rules. In Gmail, we call them filters. And it's usually rules or filter on all email platforms that people use. But one of the things that, actually, Ray, can you put it in the spreadsheet maybe on the side? And then, because I've got that open, that'd be awesome. Okay, thank you. Let me go back. I sent it to your email. Yeah, always download as attachments and signature option. Yeah, it's bad. And it, let me just see. I think it happens with Trek attachments. I'm not sure what you mean, Lisa. I find that happens with the Trek attachments. I'm not really sure. If you can maybe expand on that, and perfect. Okay, so now I want to talk again about filters or rules. And what this means is that if you have something that maybe you don't like, newsletters, let's say, why clutter up your inbox? Or maybe this Groupon deal, maybe I want to keep it and I want to look at it once a week, but I don't want to clutter up my inbox. This is a way to do this. Okay. So what I can do is I could say, there's a couple different ways of doing the same thing, right? So I'll do one way, but if you do it another way, it's perfect. Okay. So you can either tap on here and go up to the top and say filter messages like these. And generally it's going to have some of the words in there. And that's not usually what I want, right? So what I do is I open this up and this is the email it comes from. Okay. So I can go in and I can create a filter myself, and I can do it a few different ways. I can go into the gear icon, see all settings, and then filters and blocked emails. Okay. So I would create a new filter and I would say that is from this guy. And if a newsletter always had a specific title or specific words, you can even get more detailed, right? I'm just going to say everything that comes from Groupon, create a filter, and I want it to skip my inbox and go directly to a folder label. Make sense? Okay. Skip the inbox and go to a folder. I'm going to create one here, new label, and I'm going to call it Groupon. And there's only one, but anyhow, you get the gist. I think there's only one. Oh, no, there's not only one. Look at this. Apply filter to 67 matched messages. So this is a way. There's many ways to do the same thing where you can say, you know what? I want to also apply that filter to the ones that are already in my inbox. I'm going to skip the inbox. I'm going to apply the label, and then I'm going to create this filter. So what's going to happen is all the Groupons are going to go out of my inbox slowly and then into this label, whoops, here. How cool is that? Right? So those are for things that you want to check every once in a while. The one thing that I tell people when you're going to start using rules and filters, I use them all the time, but you want to make sure that you've set it up properly. So you always want to go over here and check it, daily for the first bit. Yes, this is all stuff I don't really care about or that I can look at later. And not that you did something that, I don't know, Groupon sends some other thing and you really did want to see it in your inbox. You want to double check that. Okay. So I always do check the ones that have filters like every day until I'm comfortable the filter is working as I did. It's never the filter. It's always me. I may not have set it up right. Okay. Let me just see, you guys had some other comments here. Do that again. I will. Yes, Ray, thank you. Are you sending the steps in the program in writing so we can go over them later? You'll get a replay of this. We always do a replay so you can watch it again. Okay. All right. So I will do it again because it's cool, right? So let's say I'm going to go back to my inbox. Okay, inbox. And let's say that Tommy Hilfiger, I want to keep all of those. So I would open this up and I would actually grab the email, copy, and then I would create a filter. You could do it by going up here and say filter messages like this. I did it a different way before. It's the end result is exactly the same. There's many ways of doing this. Okay. So this says has the words. No, I don't ever like that. This is from my own experience. I don't like what it picks up. So I always just say anything from that company, create a filter. I want to skip the inbox. I'm going to create a new label unless I had a label already. And I'm going to go, whoops, new label. I'm going to call it Tommy H. Yes, Tommy H. Great. And then, oh, I guess that there's no other ones matching. That doesn't make sense, but let's just see here, skip the, and I'll just say apply. And this is actually probably a good example that maybe those other Tommy emails came from a different email address because they might have separate emails, right? So I might create two separate filters. I'm going to create the filter. And then I'm just going to look at this. So if we looked at this one, that was from Tommy Hilfiger at eTommy. And oh, Tommy. Let's just see. Tommy. Oh, it is interesting. I don't know why that didn't work. I'm not going to double check what happened here, but it's probably me. So I'd look at that because it's never really the computer. I have to look at why is this not working as designed because it should have picked up all of these other ones in here. And actually it looked like it did. It did pick it up because they're all it just was delayed and it didn't show it when I was doing it, which is interesting. Okay. So now they're out of my inbox and now they're into. If I go over here to Tommy H, all the emails are here and out of my inbox. There's no inbox label because your inbox in Gmail is actually a label. Okay, let me just see. I just added years to my life. Hey, my whole system does that. Years to your life. Lots of years. Okay, this is all. I know this is incredible, right? Yeah. How do you do it? Yeah. Oh, how I did it the first time is I went into the back end of administration and did it. So I'm in Gmail, I tap here, I go see all settings, and this is all the different things that you can do inside Gmail. Again, different email platforms, you have something similar and you get to it in a similar way. Okay. Filtering is incredible. So the other thing while we're in the back end here is we're going to look at labels. Okay. Now, some of you guys don't really, I think, understand the labeling structure. So labels over on the left-hand side, let me just see how we've got social updates, forums, promotions. These are just labels that Google does, and it's really bad, especially again, free email, you will get inundated with all these because they're selling your information. Okay, they cannot do that with a properly configured business email. There's so many other things. Where storage is small, you're going to have to delete emails eventually. And what emails? Or they're going to say, oh, you ran out of space. Now you have to pay more money because you're not set up properly. Okay. Again, I'll give you a chance to book a call and see if you're a good fit for how we help agents. But I highly suggest everybody does that. Okay. So the label side of it is, see on the left-hand side, see where it says Pix Art. So if I don't want this to show, I want to keep it, but not show it, I would tap hide. Now see, it's gone. Okay. But if I want to show it again, it's there. Or I could remove it completely. So I can, and there's different ways of doing this. I'm doing it kind of in the admin backend side. You can do it by going over to the label here and saying remove label. And it's just saying, I'm just going to remove the label. I'll keep all the emails. Okay. Does that make sense? So I just delete it and look what happens. It's gone. But if I wanted to search for PicArt, I can still search. Right. But a lot of these, see, I say show here. Maybe I don't want to see social and updates and all these different ones on the left-hand side. Or maybe I do. These are, again, they're just views of however you want to work. That makes sense. Let me just see if we got, can I pull up a label and save to PDF so I can place in a folder on a computer, not email? Can I pull up a label? Oh, yes, I believe what you're talking about. So let's say you want, this is just, I'm guessing what you're saying, but let's just say you want to search for, let's just, I might not have it because this is not a dummy account, but let's see. I'm going to search with anything that has an attachment. Okay. So all of these things have an attachment. So I could set up a filter saying anything, and it might be specific what you want, anything from whoever that has an attachment that might have these words, throw into a folder, and then you can look at the folder. But I think what the question is if I open this up, and hopefully this is anything weird here, because again, this is not a real account. Okay. I couldn't preview any of these for some weird reason. Let me just see, maybe this one. There we go. No. Okay. So let's just say, I don't know why I can't preview this, but I can download this and save it into the proper location. Okay. Whatever your proper location is. Does that make sense? Did I answer your question? Hopefully. Okay. So we download it and we save it to the proper location. But again, how you guys, most of you guys are set up is that your download location is this dumping ground, your desktop, your download folder, your documents folder. Then you have to go and move it into the folder that you really want it to. And it doesn't have to be that way. Okay. If you saw what happened with me is it pops up and saying, where do you want to put it? Instead of saving it to where I don't want and then moving it to where I do want. Okay. If that's you, book a chat with me. Okay. It's very, very irritating, I'm sure. Okay. Any more questions? What's an affordable CRM that works well with Gmail Business Suite? So again, that's a great question. And what I always tell agents is about how you're set up. So when we're helping agents, we don't really talk about a CRM until we fix the problem with email first. Because email, most people don't just have one email, they have about 5 email addresses. Let me just, I want to look at you guys. Hold on. Can I do that and come back? I can. Okay. So what happens is that with 5 email addresses, there's email folders, contacts, calendar, cloud storage, and can it work with a CRM? Okay. So there's, and calendar, did I say calendar? I think I did. Okay. All those 5, there's 5 things attached to every email address. And if you have devices, you've got those as well attached to the device because they create a separate email as well. And then when you have Outlook and Mac Mail, again, another spot. So potentially you could have 5 email addresses and then a couple other spots where your stuff sits. And no wonder you add a contact to your phone and it doesn't get to where you actually want it. It's because of systems. It's so frustrating. Trust me, I get it. It's very frustrating. We fix that because we want all your contacts and all the different spots you have to be attached to one location that syncs with everything. So you add, edit, update a contact, it add, edits, updates everywhere else. You don't have to go, I got to write that down and put it in all these different spots. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. Any questions on that? Are we good? So I'm not answering your question kind of on purpose because it depends on the setup. And also a CRM can get you back hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you've been an agent for 5-10 years or longer and you're not using a CRM, you've lost money, guaranteed. And so affordable is all relative as well, because if you're losing money, then does it matter? What I look at a CRM is, does it sync properly? Okay. If I add a contact to my phone, is it going to end up in the CRM contacts? If I'm in the CRM contacts and I edit, add, will it update everywhere? Okay. Makes sense? Okay. I think I answered everyone's questions. Okay. Let me go back and share my screen. Screen to share. Okay. Perfect. Now let's go back to, where was I here? No. I've lost my email now. Just a sec. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go Gmail and hopefully I'm in the right one. This is actually mine. And we're going to go back to that dummy account, which is that one. Okay. Perfect. Let's do this. Okay, so I'm back in here. So we talked signatures, and let me just go back. Streamlining. I'm just making sure I'm covering everything for you guys. Routing emails, we did that. Understanding labels. Yeah. I want to reiterate again, labels or folders. Okay. So let's say I'm just going to grab one of these. I don't know, this one. So whatever this is, let's Amazon Web Services. Okay. I could also make all these have a different label, a second or third label. So you might have one email that might have different labels. Okay. And it's really hard to wrap your head around if you're always used to the word folders. So I always tell people this is Gmail specifically, and labels are incredibly useful rather than a folder structure. But just think of it, if you're like, I don't know what she's talking about, just think of it as a folder structure. But you can have, like, this email could be, I'll just grab this and say, what am I doing? Label. They've just added something, or maybe this is just on the free accounts, because it's now 2 steps. It used to be right here. Weird. I'm going to put this in Darci label testing as well. So this one is here, but here is another label. So if I go into Darci label testing, I will see that here as well. And then another thing that lots of people don't know is that you can color code things as well. So I might want to color code this as red or orange, whatever that is. So now I can, well, actually these are 2 the same. Let me just make this a different color. Okay, let's do it pink. So then if something sits in my inbox as well, let's go back here. It would, and I don't automatically move it as an archived item. It will show that pink label as well. So this is really, really helpful, this color coding labels. Make sense? Let me just see if there's a chat. Do you have a webinar about setting up Gmail to sync with a CRM? No, it's a good question. Let me just read that again. Do you have a webinar about setting up Gmail to sync with a CRM? No, because it's way more detailed than that. So you might want to book a call, because I guarantee you, if you've got a Gmail account, you've probably got 4 or 5 other emails where important things are. So it isn't about that sync. We need to fix the top down first. Okay. And then not all CRMs sync. Follow Up Boss doesn't, RealVolve doesn't. There's like the top 30, they do not sync and integrate properly. So that will always be standalone. So I'm always about syncing first and then working through the CRM that you own. Make sense? Hopefully I answered your question on that. Okay. What else did I say about understanding labels? Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay. And how did you color code the label? All I did is I went over here to the 3 dots. If you guys also, for any software that you use, 3 dots or 3 lines, the 3 lines we call a hamburger menu, I guess, because it looks like a hamburger. So 3 dots, the gear, or 3 lines is where you can do other things. So in this example, the 3 lines pops down the folder structure here. If I don't want to see it, it's hidden, and I pull it up. The gear goes to the back end. And then in this instant, to color code it, a way to color code it is to right click and say label color. And then I can label this yellow. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. Yes. Okay. I got everyone covered there. How are we doing for time? Not bad. Okay. So I'm going to show you how important this is and what's attached to an email account. Now, and again, I don't care if you're a Comcast user, a Yahoo user, an Outlook user, they're all the same. Okay. You find it in different locations, but they all have things attached to it. So some people don't understand that in Gmail, because that's what I'm using, and Outlook would be the same, Yahoo would be the same, right? Similar. In here, this is all the things attached to a free Gmail account, all the different things. Now there's a ton of things, right? So, but the top things that I know mess people up are email, contacts, calendar, and cloud storage. Okay. So if we go to contacts, now again, remember that this is not a real account. So we've got fake people in here. So if I added a contact to my phone and this was my business account, does that work? So if I added a contact right now to my phone and I edit it, will that contact be here? And the answer is no. For 99% of you, the answer is no, because your systems aren't set up properly. And then the same goes with calendar. So we've got a calendar that we use. And if I have a device that I'm using, does it sync and integrate? So if I add the calendar event on my phone, is it going to go to this email that I want it to go to? Most people are not set up for that to do. And then the cloud storage, every cloud storage account, whether it's Dropbox, Google Drive, OneDrive, iCloud Drive, is attached to if only this was live, an email address, right? So the power of email is incredible because you have all these things attached to it and everything can talk to that email, but not all CRMs can talk to any email. Okay, that's really important to understand. Is there a way to migrate everything over from your existing email to a new email address while keeping the intact? That's what we help agents do for sure. Is there a way? Yes, but it's not as easy as you might think. But yes, there is definitely ways. So what we do is we look at all the 5, 6, 7 email addresses you have, and we'll migrate what we need and get the information from all the different sources and get it into a properly configured business email that's paid for, that's set up properly on the right server, on the right plan, ready to sync with a CRM that actually does sync properly. Okay, that makes sense. Let me just see. Okay. Okay. Last thing I had to talk about was using Outlook with Gmail. Is it acceptable to use Outlook to view your Gmail account? So that was a question, and then I'll go through all the questions. And actually, if you guys have specific questions, answer them or ask them now. And then I'm also going to go, when you filled out the form, everyone wrote down some questions. I can go through those questions as well. Okay. So Outlook is a viewer of email. So if you had Outlook desktop software, that's an email client, it's a viewer of email. So can it view any email? Yes. So can Spark or MacMail or any email can be brought in to view it. Okay. But there's a difference from viewing or migrating email. Okay. So hopefully that answered that question. Do you know if ActiveCampaign CRM will sync what I currently use? Again, I don't like Outlook desktop software because if it syncs, it'll be with a third-party tool to sync. And never. I want a direct sync only, so never. And will it sync with Outlook desktop and web and Gmail and Apple? Okay, let's think about that. That's a good question. And the answer is no. A CRM will sync with one email, and it should be a properly configured business email. Again, there's so many ways to mess that up. Before you do anything, please book a chat with me. And you have to see if that CRM, and when we chat, we'll ask about what are you currently using? Maybe it syncs, maybe it doesn't. Right? We want things to sync properly. How to limit the spam emails. Okay, you're getting spam emails because you have a free email account. If you're not, then there's a problem because the free email is free for a reason, right? With a business email, when we configure it, we're saying, yes, you're a legitimate person. You own this domain. We will add these DNS records to say that you are who you say you are. So when you become a business user of a business email, there's way less likely you're going to get inundated with spam, that your emails are going to end up in spam because you've told the world that you're real. Not like spamming emails like Gmail and Yahoo and there's just so many that are out there that are not doing you any favors. Okay. Hopefully that answered your question. And again, the using a brokerage email is horrible. I've had people crying because of this. Now, had they worked with us before, it would have been fixed. But if you decide tomorrow you're leaving your brokerage, your data's gone. Okay. If you're smart, you can get some things prior to leaving the brokerage, but you can never get back all the stuff you've done inside that CRM. Yes, you can always export contacts. But if you've set up newsletters and you've set up drip campaigns in the CRM and all that, you're going to have to redo all that. So why not start properly with a proper CRM that you own, that you control, and you don't use the brokerage email. So if you ever leave, you're still going to get your clients' emails. You can still communicate with them. Does that make sense? I cannot tell you how important this is. Do not use a brokerage email. They control that email. They own that email, and it is not yours. Questions? Have I scared everybody? Okay, hold on. Let me just pull this up. I'm going to actually just do one more thing, and then I'm going to get to the questions. I already did the demo. I forgot to show that. And again, people are going to ask me, well, how do I get a proper business email? We need to look at your setup because there's many ways to do it wrong through GoDaddy or Microsoft or even Google. You can set it up incorrectly, and we want everything set up properly. Okay. So if you want to book a call, this is the link. If Ray, you want to put the link in the chat, that would be great. And it is a complimentary call. So we get on the phone for about 45 minutes. And the agents who really want to fix this stuff, that's who I want to work with. Okay. They're done with all this piecemeal business not working and it's frustrating. And you must be outstanding what you do and also coachable. Okay. Knowing that we can help you. And if that is you, then please book a call. Ray's put it in. You'll get how it'll work is, like I said before, you'll pick a time slot. If you can't find anything, you can always email Ray. If you put our support email in there, you can always email Ray as well. But basically, you're going to book a time. You're going to get a confirmation. And then what happens is you'll get a form. And this is why we're going to ask a whole bunch of other things, because we don't want to just set up stuff. We need to know, how are you set up now, and what have you been doing for the last 5, 10, 15, 30, 40 years, and see if we can help you fix it. Okay. So I have another question. I have an email address that is related to my web address and is an alias Gmail will the email still get spam? I think I have to understand more what you're talking about. It shouldn't if it's properly set up. And here's the thing that people don't understand. A properly set up business email, and you probably high level heard of DNS records. Well, we do this for you. We'll submit the DNS records and we'll do this because it's way too confusing for people. And we've done this for decades. So that's that part where it tells the internet that you're a legit person. So I don't know, based on what you said, people use the alias term interchangeably. So I have to see. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So Ray's put the link in the chat. I only have got a few appointments, I think, this week left. So double check that. But you can go into the next week and find some time to chat. Okay, perfect. Now, let me go through some of the other questions and keep asking questions in the chat. I'm happy to answer. I'm going to just go over here and I'm going to look at some of the questions people had. How do I keep real estate information and related emails separate from my decorating? I don't know if this person's here. They have a different email. There are different ways and we'd have to look at it. There's lots of cool things that we can do to make things work for you if you've got two separate businesses. And do we need to keep them separate? Maybe, maybe not. What other software besides Google Takeout to back up old files? So that question alarms me just to start with, because if things are integrated and syncing properly, you shouldn't really have to do a takeout. And if you guys don't know what a takeout is most email server providers allow us to take the data. Google calls it takeout. And so can you do it that way? You could, but if you're set up properly, you probably would never have to use takeout. Okay. If I enter email contacts into Matrix, do they somehow take ownership of that email? That is a good question. And I don't, so everyone, Matrix is kind of like an MLS system because we've got agents from all over the world here. So anywhere that you guys log on to that your clients log on and they get the client information and email, usually we can't sync with that, but we can get that data and export it. And there might be some other ways to do it, and we can talk about that, but hopefully that answers your question. How much does it cost for coaching? It costs nothing for you to book a call and then just even see if we can help you. We can't help everyone, but book the call and fill out the form, and then we'll see if we can help you. I use my brokerage email because it helps protect me in case of sensitive client information is hacked. How does that work with a properly set up business email that I would own? Same thing, right? Because now there's more security, you get support. You get no support if you have any of those free email addresses. Why would they support you? It's free, right? When you're a paying customer of a CRM, of an email, of cloud storage, you get support. That alone is worth the fee, right? Because you guys using Gmail, if you're having problems, there's literally nobody to help you, or Yahoo or whoever. And the brokerage email, they own that. So when they say it helps protect, what they're doing, and I hate speaking out of turn here, but brokerages offer you an email address, probably because you don't really understand how to set it up properly yourself. So they offer it. They usually have the lowest plan, because why would they spend a ton of money? So you've got limitations, and they can, because they own it, they can restrict it and say, we won't allow you to forward, we won't allow you to migrate email, we won't allow you to do this and that, because it's their email and their domain. If you own it, you have the security, you have controls, and you can do what you want. And if you have an assistant, now your assistant can be joe@yourdomain.com, and you own it. You guys, I'm going to give you a tip about email. If you have an assistant, never, ever, 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 ever give your assistant or allow your assistant with their free email address to access your data. That is very bad. Okay. Very, very bad. Thanks, Carmen. I didn't get to see you, but thank you. But Google Workspace is considered a paid pro Gmail. Okay. Gmail is the app to view email. But Gmail is also what people consider free email. Google Workspace is a business email. Like Microsoft has a business email, and GoDaddy does, and Bluehost, and all those other ones. There's tons of different ways to set up business emails, but they're not all correct and not all going to work with a real estate CRM. Trust me, I've been doing this for 30 years. Okay, guaranteed. Okay, let me just see. I have another question. How to switch from Gmail to Outlook for a company and personal emails. I prefer the organization of Outlook. That comment also concerns me a little bit, because they're similar. All email clients are similar. Okay. Now, we have had many people, because I do not recommend Outlook desktop software. I don't care what email you use, because there can be problems. It gets too big, and then you lose data, and then you have to set up a new profile. How it brings information in, it might not sync and integrate. And my guess is you were a corporate user before, right? And that's what people liked. I also used to like Outlook desktop software, but we do not want people using it. So hopefully that. Any other questions? Hold on, I'm looking. How do I mass delete and filter spam? I think I already kind of told you how you can do that. In all email platforms too, you could say, take all emails from 20, however, let's say you only need to keep data for 7 years. Don't make me do the math. Let's say take all emails from 2018 or 17 and delete them or archive them or put them in a folder. And so they're out of your inbox. Okay. Makes sense. Let me just see. Someone said, I don't want to pay for storage or email or do anything. How should I run my business? Well, you're not running a business. Simple. Agents need to pay for software. End of story. Like, you're running a business, pay for software. I have several businesses. That is why I use Outlook. That, again, is there a better client to use and still only have to open and see them? There probably is a better way to do that. Yes. Okay. Again, without in your form, you'll tell me all that, and then I can kind of see what you mean. But yes, there's probably a better way to do that. Again, Outlook's just a viewer of the emails you add to it. Right? But you're just pulling the information in, and depending on how you're setting it up, it might just be viewing it, but it's still sitting in that free email, and that free email is still getting filled up, and eventually will go over the limit, and then no more emails. Like, it's really important to understand this. Okay. Let's see. Hi. I probably have no, that's okay. How do I unsubscribe and clear emails? So we talked about clearing unsubscribed. I don't know if you guys saw this. Just a sec. I'm assuming everyone doesn't need this anymore. If you looked at here, when I went to like here, it's not on this one, but Google and other platforms also have a little unsubscribe button if it's something we've subscribed. That's actually not a subscription. This one is. So this is cool feature that I noticed maybe 6 months ago, that you can just tap unsubscribe and unsubscribe, but also at the very bottom of any email by law, they have to have an unsubscribe button. Don't unsubscribe from my stuff, of course. Okay. But they have to unsubscribe you. Okay. Hopefully that helps you guys. Ray, let me know if there's any questions. I'm just reading all the questions that people had in the sign up. I've only got a few more that I haven't answered because you guys kind of had the same questions. If I use G Drive, I'm guessing they mean Google Drive regularly. Is it a bad idea to switch from Gmail to Outlook? Gmail just doesn't like non-Gmail addresses. I have no idea what you mean, so I'd have to look at what you're talking about. How to clean up your emails, I did. Working on tags, we talked about that. Why is this only about Gmail? It isn't, but I can't show all different types of platforms in one email. One webinar. I think I covered everybody's. We talked about volume and sorting. Yeah, I think I answered everybody's questions. Do you guys have any other questions while we're here? I'm just going to stop my share and look at you. Any other questions? We will do a follow-up. Again, Ray's going to put the link to book a chat. And again, if you don't have any times that you look like are available, just email Ray and he'll get on the phone with you and we'll pick a date and time. And it takes about 45 minutes for me to kind of review everything that you've done in all the years you've been an agent, right? And then see if we can help you and point you in the right direction of how to fix kind of a business that you've piecemealed together for all these years. That makes sense? Sorry, I'm just trying to look at, oh, good. So Ray's put the link again to the webinar, and I hope I get to talk to you guys soon. We will post this, and once we posted it, we'll let you know, but also we'll send you a follow-up email with the booking link again and everything else that I've talked about, the blog link and other things that are helpful to you. And any other questions before we know we're all good? I think we're all good. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're welcome, you guys. Love doing these and love helping you out. And I hope I get to chat with you guys and see if we can help you fix your business systems. Okay. Thanks so much. All right. Bye. Talk to you later.